From the maker Choo Choo Charles, which is a very good horror game, I think most people who've played it can say that as well, we get Cuffbust. And this game did not live up to the standards of its predecessor, and I'm going to explain to you why. So sit back, I'm just going to be playing through the actual game. This is my first time playing the game, and keep in mind there's only one map while you're watching this. So let's get right into it. Very early into this run, you'll be able to see what I believe most people say is probably the worst part about this game, and I may be inclined to agree. So this beginning section, you got this guard chasing after you, and he's going to be trying to reach me, beam up, I'm losing, and then he hits me. Now I should be dead, right? Run over. But not in this game. In this game, you just get revived, and that's it. There's no actual way to die in Cuffbust. The only way that... Actually, I'm not even aware if there is a way for you to lose. But as I was going to mention, while I was down, you're actually able to handcuff them, or the guards are able to handcuff you. And then you have to play a little mini game, which I will end up playing later, and I'm being completely honest when I say that that might be maybe the best gameplay, is that one little mini game, because the rest of this gameplay is literally just running around the map. Now I do actually have to give credit to this game in some areas. This game is actually really well polished, and I think the real reason that it fails is because of its primary gameplay. But it looks really good, especially for a game made by one guy. But when you compare it to the past work of Choo Choo Charles, you can definitely see that he's very talented, and there is a reason why he was able to make such a really good looking game. Now, with a name called Cuffbust, you would obviously expect a game like this to be a breakout game where you're trying to escape prison, and it is. One thing that really confused me once I actually sat and thought about it is how the game is meant to act. What is the game? Is it a stealth game? Is it an action-packed game? Because I get very conflicting ideas. On one hand, most of the game is trying to go unnoticed digging through tunnels, but at the very beginning, you're thrown into having to fight one of the guards, and there's alarms blaring, but the alarms just stop after a while, and there seem to be no guards going after you. So, some very conflicting ideas there that I believe really detract from the whole game in its entirety. But again, I feel like that's not really the main problem there. I think a really big problem is the kind of forgetfulness of the genre. Sure, you're meant to innovate on a genre, but sometimes the genre kind of has it down. And I feel like these types of games really have it down on what the genre is meant to be. The genre is meant to be a game where you're trying to escape from prison, and there's a variety of different ways to get out, sometimes in a randomly generated map, sometimes with your friends, and sometimes just by yourself, which I would put Cuffbust in a mix of the second and third category. But unlike some of the other games with your friends, no one can actually play as the guards, which is really a letdown. While watching some of his devlogs, I was completely under the impression that you could play as the guard. And if alone, obviously you won't be able to play as the guard, but it's really a letdown because a lot of this game is kind of just meant to be goofing off with your friends, which, being able to act as a guard, is a pretty big part of goofing around in a jail game. And you can see that with some other games, even Roblox games like Jailbreak. Just a few more things to me talking about how this game diverges from its actual genre and doesn't really live up to what the genre is. And Most of the time, as I believe I previously mentioned, there's a variety of ways to escape, but in this game, when I count, there's only 5. You can escape in a motorized boat, escape in a helicopter, escape in a raft, escape through a flying truck, and if you're lucky and one of the randomly generated events gives you a taxi, a space taxi, then that can also act as an escape. And there's not that many ways to escape, and the map doesn't change at all. The only thing that really changes is sometimes you aren't able to go through an area. Like they're blocked off on certain runs, which I feel like is a really cheap way to get a different experience each time. You're running around the same map. It's very cheap. Those were, in my opinion, the biggest problems with the game, but the game also has its fair share of problems. First, the game doesn't have that much gameplay. Like most people playing it are able to finish the game and kind of conclude that they've got all what the game needs to offer in just a matter of minutes or hours. Like for me, I basically got through, in my opinion, the entire game in under 33 minutes, and 18 of those minutes were my first run. This game doesn't have that much to offer, though it does have its own map creator, but I feel like games that try to rely on user-generated content are flawed in some way or another. That's why, even though I know people love it, I personally don't really find Mario Maker that fun. But Mario Maker might be one of the best examples of a good game that relies on user-generated content. Now, right there, I just went through a portal, and I think that's probably some of the most fun parts about this game. This game has these randomly generated events that appear and can shake up the experience a bit. I just wish that there were a bit more. I'm pretty sure there's only like 4, and they just end up repeating. As I previously mentioned, the space taxi. There's this one, the interdimensional rift or whatever. There's riot guards that show up. There's a thunderstorm, and there's a tactical airstrike. And I believe that's all, so 5. And some of them barely change the game at all. The game still has its fundamental flaws, and the riot guards or whatever are just added guards, and if you just sneak around, they'll never find you anyway. Just not fun. Have I mentioned that literally half of the gameplay in this game is just digging a tunnel? Like, I'm serious. I feel like most of this run was just me digging and walking through tunnels and vents. I'm gonna speed this one up for you guys because it goes for a while. Without a real understanding of the map, this game feels like you're kind of just running around an area and hoping that you find a way to get out, like I just did here. I randomly find this thing that I meant to build out of planks, and that will let me escape. It feels, as I said earlier, cheap. Most of the games in this genre really feel like you have to get a real understanding of the map to actually be able to escape. And it feels like you're really putting together a heist, or as someone who actually may break out of jail would feel, like you're putting on a tactical plan. And this game doesn't have any of that. Partially because of its randomly generated contents, which can also help the game in some ways, but I feel like primarily because this game doesn't actually have enough content to be able to fill up a completely set map. And I wish there were more maps. The map is actually pretty fun despite the amount of tunnels, and I know I already mentioned that there's a map creator, but you shouldn't rely on user generated content, especially when this game feels like it was a big thing and it kind of just underperformed its expectations going into the game. This game is also just incredibly easy. As I mentioned before, there's no actual stakes surrounding the game, and you can't actually lose in any way. But there isn't anything, like any challenge, there isn't any. The only really big thing is trying to, I guess, do it as fast as you can. But when doing it as fast as you can requires literally a minute and just some luck, it's kind of stupid. I'm sorry if I've been repeating myself or kind of stumbling over my words. It's kind of hard to talk about a game with as little content as this game and try to fill it up this long run because I didn't know anything about it. And even now, I feel like I've really run out of things to say about the game. Other than that, it's not good. That's not to say I don't see potential in a game like this. I feel like a game where you're kind of goofing off with your friends could be really fun, but it just needs a bit more effort put into it and a few things tweaked. So that's what I'm about to talk about for a quick second. First, add more maps, please. It's not that hard. You already built a whole custom map editor. You can just use it to build some more maps. Second, let the players play as the guards. Like, I know there's a lot of guards, but it would be even cool if they're able to like switch between what guards using like some made up mind swapping thing. This game's already unhinged as it is. And I would say third, add more of a reason for this game. Add more of a threat to this game. Because right now, this game doesn't really feel like there's a reason to play it or there's actually a reason to escape at all. And lastly, lead into the goofiness of your game. You should really just add some more goofy items and stuff that also serve a purpose. Not just to like goof around and not really serve anything like the soap does or some other items. I don't know, there aren't really that many right now that serve unique purposes. And that's my video on Cuffbust. I think it's inherently flawed, can be fixed if the right people make the right decisions, but I don't know. I think with as bad of a start as it had, it might not be able to turn itself around. But there's still like 5 more minutes left in my run, so I'm just going to speed it up real quick, that way you can see how a run ends. So yeah, that's the video on Cuffbust. Still trying to grow my channel, so if you could subscribe, please. And if you want to see some more game design takes I have, why don't you check out my Skate is actually a really good game video. It should be up in the top right part of your screen. And goodbye.